Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
Welcome to America's Heroes Group, this time with our roundtable and community outreach. Today is Saturday, April 29th, 2023, April Sexual Assault, Minority Health, and Autism Awareness Month. Our host is Cliff Kelley, just heard. I'm Sean Claiborne, the co-host. Our executive producer is Glenda Smith, and our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega of Scout to Honor Productions. And we have some studio guests in the house today. We have panelists with us. For the first time in a long time we've done this. Dunlap, U.S. Army veteran, former Dorie Miller Post 91.5 member, and America's Host Community Group Outreach Ambassador. How you doing today?
Oh, great, Sean. Thank you so much for inviting us on today. It's always an honor. We are certainly indebted to the team that has pulled this project together that goes internationally, and we have benefited from it so greatly, man. And I just treasure the work that Ms. Smith has done, the hustle that she's put into this concept in making it a reality. Of course, Cliff Kelley, our anchor in so many ways, and you, good brother, as I was just testifying to your goodness, you know how to count, and you help us to understand.
Say what you said in the lobby, because that is something that people need to hear about counting, what you tell kids about counting.
Well, I dig Sean because he knows how to count, and because he knows how to count so well, he helps us to understand the value of one. First of all, starting with us. The better you count, the more you count. The better you count, the less likely you will be counted out. We have to understand the numbers before we can really play this game of high finance. So many of us understand low finance, and I'm one of them. But you are our bridge to understanding high finance, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, man. I do what I can. I do everything I can to make this community strong.
Yes, and our guest, the Colonel.
Yes.
I'm so pleased to be sitting beside a Colonel, a live bird, a full bird.
That's right. Sandra Webb-Booker, retired Colonel, Combat Support, Civil Affairs, 66 Hotel, means she was a nurse, a member of the National Women's Veterans United, NWVU, and she is with us today. We're going to talk about some things that we started talking about long ago when you first came on our show, Sal, and that is the Medal of Honor for Dorie Miller. And then we also going to get into the Rush Home program, which is really important. Now, there's some other stuff I want to ask you to after that. But first, let's get into where we left off about what's going on with the Medal of Honor for Dorie Miller. That's part of the post that you served in 915. That was important, and that was what that post was actually named after, the Dorie Miller Post 915. That post was trying to get the Medal of Honor for an African-American who violently served in the Navy, but never was considered, received other awards, but at that time did not get considered for the Medal of Honor. He even has a movie and several TV shows and multiple mentions in TV shows in Hollywood, cinema, history, books, but no Medal of Honor.
That is I don't know if dilemma would be the correct word to describe this. I think it goes deeper than being a dilemma. It's an embarrassment, I think, for all military service people to be witness to this type of an atrocity. That's one of the reasons why we have the Colonel with us today. I would defer to her to provide you with that background, and for where I can contribute to her statement, I will certainly pitch in.
Ma'am, can you tell us more about this? What's going on with this effort to get him the recognition he deserves?
Well, initially, he did have a frigate named after him, but that frigate was decommissioned. So consequently...
And talk a little bit closer to the mic so we can the audience can hear a little bit better.
Is that better?
That's a lot better, much better. So we can push this a little bit further. There we go.
And so that frigate got deactivated, and from that point up until now, the current status is that there will be another vessel named after him, and that is to occur sometime like in 2032, something of that sort. And that will be the type of vessel that is commissioned under Gerald Ford.
Okay.
So what's happening right now is that there's nothing in existence right now with the name Dorie Miller. Nothing whatsoever. And it is a travesty because of what he did, sacrificed his life, and there is nothing presently in existence to honor the fact that if it had not been for him on that vessel saving over greater than 100 plus soldiers and sailors, shall I say, on that vessel, then what would have happened is that the Japanese probably could have just totally taken over everything.
He shot down several planes. So give us a story about Dorie Miller. He was a cook because African Americans at the beginning of the war could not serve in military combat roles. We couldn't hold rifles and learn how to operate guns or artillery or fly planes. But later on that became a reality because we showed our courage and showed what we were capable of doing. This cook did what on the day of Pearl Harbor, no less?
On the day of Pearl Harbor, he was told that he needed to come up to the deck and he needed to help Lieutenant, I can't think of his name right now, Mervyn. He needed to help him because he had been shot and his abdomen, it appeared, had started to eviscerate. He was having some trouble there and he was bleeding. So therefore, he could give, his commanding officer could give the commands, but Dorie's attention was needed in order to orchestrate this, okay? And that's exactly what he did. That he had never received any skills in firing a .50 caliber. But I thought what was interesting is that prior to his coming to Pearl Harbor, he had served on another vessel called the Pyro. And on that vessel, he actually witnessed people using these ballistic missiles and things to tackle down or to bring down planes and various flying objects. And I felt that because he had witnessed this, that he indeed had gained or learned from what he witnessed and he applied it. And he continued to shoot down these missiles coming in from the Japanese bombers overhead. And the amazing thing is that only a little bit over 100 people lost their lives. But the masses of people, greater than 300, did not. They were saved. Their lives were savaged and everything. And that is the beauty of it, is because he had no training, but yet he knew what to do, and he did it forcefully. Also, he had the body build and the structure. He had the build to be able to handle that heavy equipment and use it skillfully, as though he had maybe handled it before or witnessed other people his size doing it. So he knew exactly what positions to take in order to bring those Japanese ammunition,
those kamikaze planes and all the Japanese bombers down.
Exactly.
And and the thing was, he was a cook. He was trained as a cook, not as a gunnery personnel.
That's correct.
So he was able to come out of the basically the basement of the ship. The hull of the ship down in the basement, came up, saw his commanding officer bleeding to death, took command to go and man a .50 caliber rifle machine gun, and took down, some people say 3, some people say 6, but arguably probably shot down more planes himself than any other person that day.
He did.
Number 2, where were the other sailors? Why weren't they at their station doing what he had to do as a cook?
Well, what I understand is that he was told to be there with his commanding officer to support him, because the commanding officer was needed in order to give the directions to everybody on board the ship as to what he needed them to do.
Wow.
Okay. And so when it came to the part about taking this weapon, he took it according to what is said, and he skillfully positioned himself and took down those various Japanese aircraft with no pain, it sounded like. He just easily did it. That's why I felt that because of his prior experience on the pyro, that he was able to do so because he had witnessed others. And there's things that you learn vicariously just by looking at other people, watching their moves, their stance. And I felt like he had gained some of that. And then with his body build and his structure, he had the power to bring those things down and to handle that heavy equipment.
And I remember in basic training, I shot a 60 caliber machine gun, and that's a 60 caliber machine gun. We're talking about a 50 cal aircraft carrier gun. That
Exactly.
60 cal, which is much lighter than that 50 cal, is hard to learn. It's not easy to learn. That's something that takes time to try to control the recoil, to try to make sure you're on target. And back then, I don't even know if they had tracers that you could use to try to hit your target.
I doubt it.
So that's amazing.
Yes, it was.
And on your your first try to get up there and be on pressure, you're shooting for your life.
Yes. Sean, if I may, I want to make sure that we clarify that Dorie was not Mr. Miller's real name.
Right, yeah.
No.
Right.
It was really Doris. And I understand that the Pittsburgh courier of Pittsburgh is the one who saw it and thought that it was a misprint. And they started calling him Dorie. But he was also the heavyweight champion, boxing champion, which was a result of his size, skill, and agility, which further added to his ability to be so mobile and active on that day in lifting people. Now, the first person that he picked up when he went on deck was the captain of the ship, actually.
Okay.
Moved him to a safer location. He died, but still he got the Congressional Medal of Order. He didn't do anything but get wounded.
Right, and that's the thing. A lot of people, I think there was more than one, wasn't there, on that ship that got the Medal of Honor?
I might have been, but I know for
he
certain.
got a Medal of Honor for dying on the ship.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah,
He
that's
did.
right. That's right. That's right.
And I want to correct myself too, because what happened, it was only 106 people that died. I'm sorry, only 106 out of 1,541 crewmen that were
Wow.
on that ship.
So saved over
So
1,000
that's
lives.
outstanding.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yes, it was.
Yes. And so hopefully this effort, because it's been a campaign for decades to get this man the Medal of Honor. Hopefully this effort to recommission a ship under his name, which he rightfully deserves, will get that conversation going again.
And it is going to be an aircraft carrier, a large vessel. As you mentioned, this started back in the 40s with the Digg brothers out of Detroit, and it has gone on and on and on with more folk getting involved with trying to get this done. We have people, a former congressman out of New York, DiGiuliano, and I know I'm butchering his name, but he was a friend of Mickey Leland. They pursued getting the first Congressional Medal of Honor for a black veteran from World War I, and he has been successful in pursuing that same cause for other black veterans, and this is going to be, he has said, his last effort for this. We did have Congressional Representative Bernice Johnson, who was a vanguard for this effort, but she has retired, and I haven't been able to.
Eddie Bernice.
Yes,
Eddie
right,
Bernice.
out of Dallas. She is from Waco, Texas, which is where Dorie Miller was from, and we are trying to get more involved with the pursuit of this. We didn't get the recognition we thought was going to come while Obama was there. we're still scratching every damn where as to why he didn't move on that. But bottom line is that the fight goes on. We understand what needs to be done, and it's people, such as Colonel Booker, that's going to help us sustain our forward thrust in this direction.
Well, what I wanted to share is the type of carry-on.
Before we're running out of time. Let's move on. I want to get to this one thing before we get out of time. Rush Home program. What is that all about?
It's a PSD program.
Okay.
I signed up for it about 3 years ago. It is a more aggressive means of addressing PTSD. Mm-hmm. It is something that I had been asking for over at Jesse Brown, which I feel the group therapy sessions that I was going through were just clown sessions, people talking about what took place. Hell, we know what took place. Mm-hmm. My question was always, what are you doing now?
Right.
We survived. We're here. We know what they did to us, how we've been treated. What are you doing now? And I went to the director of Jesse Brown, and you all have had the director on, many times, and it was the result of me wanting something more positive that was going to add to me understanding my efforts right now to do something with whatever amount of time that I have left. Discovered this program over at
Rush.
Rush. Mm-hmm. They got $40 million.
Wow.
From the Road Home program. $40 million.
Wow.
That's correct.
And they're refusing to utilize this program that goes around the country. Only one like it. They're refusing to come to you all and use you as a conduit to get the message out to explain what services are available. Now, I have challenged them and told them, look, if you don't change this, I'm going to bring some veterans over here and I'm going to picket your ass. And I ain't playing. If I can't get nobody to go, I'll go by myself to dramatize this ignorance. Mm-hmm. I think it is a very ignoble act on their part to be doing something like this. I think it's arrogant, it's racist, and I'm, through the grace of God, my understanding of what God is all about, I'm going to try to do something about it. And I want to thank you for this time for allowing me to share this. And I want to also add, I like it. Mm-hmm. My therapist has got me writing, coming in. That's a part of my therapy. Mm-hmm. He's got me writing, bringing stuff into him, making me explain to him what I did since the last time where I promised I was going to have some things done. That's what so many of the veterans need right now.
So you're expressing yourself and your feelings.
Absolutely.
Okay, you're not keeping them bottled up.
Absolutely. And not bottled up.
Yes.
I mean.
What would you say to veterans out there, particularly African-American veterans, that are bottling their emotions and things up? Because I've noticed that particularly as veterans get older, that the weight of their experiences, the trauma, the PTSD, seems to have a bigger toll on them.
More anxiety is associated with more anxiety, more anger build up. You got to have a release. You got to have an outlet in order not to allow that stuff to just build up and take control over you. Yes. You must take control over it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And this is coming from a medical profession. Yes, absolutely.
That's why she's here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's important for the veterans, to seek out help, attend some of the workshops that are available to us. I encourage you to pursue this effort over at Rush. I like it. The young brother who is working with me, he's half my age. And in our first session, we had this long conversation about him being qualified to counsel me, and he understood. But the exchange has been great. I see we got a finger waving in the other room.
We're running out of time, so we gotta continue this conversation. Wanted to get more involved, more questions about your community involvement, Sel, because I know you've done a lot, particularly with trying to get Chicago cleaned up. You've done a lot of work with that. We want to talk about that next time you come back on our show.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys for coming in. Thanks for being my first live guest since Cliff Kelley was here. I did an interview with him years ago. Sandra Webb-Booker, retired Colonel, Combat Support, Civil Affairs, 66 Hotel nurse, member of National Women's Veterans United, and of course, U.S. Army veteran and former Dorie Miller Post 915 member, America's Heroes Group Ambassador, Sel Dunlap, thank you for your time. Thank you for all your words.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good.
This is America's Heroes Group. We'll be right back.